Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's session. My name is Kingori Muito, and I have the pleasure of having this conversation with you today. I see one of our our speakers is already there. Very nice to see you, Stella. To today's session. Sana. My name is great to see you. Great to see you. I have the ladies and gentlemen. You are in for a wonderful treat this time around. As always, at Centonomy, we strive to make these conversations all the more important, all the more relevant, and for you to be able to appreciate the growth in your career. As Centonomy, one of the things we have continued to appreciate as we have engaged on the wealth journey is that entrepreneurship is not the only path towards building your wealth or going on your wealth journey. And there are those of us who want to be in a 9 to 5, a corporate space, and that is definitely a way to grow your wealth. And the speakers we have today are fantastic in terms of their own successes, but also to speaking towards the growth that they have seen in their careers. And they're speaking today on how to unlock your career potential. How do I make my job, my 9 to 5, my employment gig, the thing that will get me to achieve the life that I want to have? So we're really looking forward. It's a special time for us today because this happens to be the last Career Hub event for the year. But also it happens to be the one event where we have an all ladies panel. So I'm especially looking forward to just gleaming from their experience, their thoughts, and just to hear their insights and to celebrate them as we go ahead. A bit of housekeeping for those of us who are joining. Just to say a big thank you to all those who've already joined us on Zoom. We're also going to be live on the Centonomy Facebook, YouTube pages. So if you have any friends who are looking to join, please ask them to join on those platforms. There will be no registration necessary. And this being the last one, ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot in store for you. So really encourage you to get the word out there and just have people come on board to hear the fantastic wisdom that is to be shared by our panel today. So the hashtags we're going to be using is hashtag Centonomy Career Hub, hashtag Unlocking Your Career Potential, and hashtag Career Growth. Without further ado, allow me to introduce our very first speaker, Stella Kivila, and I want to do her justice by sharing her profile with you. So if you give me 2 seconds just to read through that. Stella Kivila is, give me 1 sec. Yes, there we are. Is a pharmacist and a performance coach with a decade of experience leading teams in the pharmaceutical, corporate, and women empowerment spaces. Currently, she is the founder and accredited Clarity 4D coach at Performance Point International, a workforce development firm that helps corporate organizations build high-performance teams using globally tested frameworks. She's also the head of corporate partnerships and business development at Baobab Circle, a global telemedicine company that seeks to provide affordable and accessible healthcare solutions to Africa through its flagship product, Afia Pap app. She derives tremendous satisfaction in guiding multidisciplinary teams to get out of their technical shell and embrace vital concepts that accelerate personal and professional growth. Additionally, Stella serves as a team leader and board member of the Harvard-born Girls for Girls Mentoring Initiative that empowers women to develop the vision, courage, and skills to lead. So important. Her passion for leadership has seen her selected as a member of various organizations, including the Africa List, the Boardroom Africa, and League of East African Directors. She serves in various committees, including MasterCard Foundation Alumni Network and the Pharmaceutical Society of Uganda. Stella holds a bachelor's degree in pharmacy from Makerere University and has graduated from various leadership programs, including Harvard Business Online, Regent University, Cornell University, and Strathmore Business School. Stella is a YALI and AWEC fellow whose contribution to healthcare, leadership, and women has seen her recognized by Pride Woman magazine Nigeria, Top 40 Under 40, Top Women in Science, and Rotary International. Stella is a change agent who believes that we each carry unique potential that can be deliberately harnessed into creating positive impact in our communities. In future, Stella plans to expand her coaching, mentoring, and health technology work across Africa with a focus on empowering women to thrive. You can definitely see you are in for a treat. Stella, karibu sana. Over to you.
Wow, thank you so much, Kingori. When you're introducing me, I was just wondering, who are they talking about?
It's definitely all you.
Thank you so much. Sometimes we underestimate the journey that we have walked. I'm super excited to be here today. As you can see from my background, I am calling in all the way from Bahamas. I am kidding. That's where we want to go after, somewhere on the beach, isn't it? But I'm calling in from the Matoke Republic. Matoke Republic, that is Uganda, the pearl of Africa. If you have never visited Uganda, please visit us. We have a lot of food. We have amazing people. It's always sunny as it is raining. It has a perfect weather. I know in Nairobi, you are dying with cold. I was seeing people in snow in, I think, Rift Valley. And I was like, we are enjoying the sun. Yeah, so you should visit us one of these fine days. I am super excited to be here. Centonomy, I have been stalking Centonomy since I think 4 years ago. And online YouTube. And I kept on saying I have to do Centonomy 101, but then unfortunately, they're all physical classes. And just recently, thanks to COVID, they launched the online classes, and I was fortunate to be part of season 21. I think the first online class for Centonomy 101. I'm excited to be here, and I thank Centonomy for having me and the work that you do. So today we are going to dive into a conversation, something that I like to have conversations with people. And it's very easy for you to say, oh my goodness, they have read her profile, and oh my, how was she able to achieve all that? And I haven't really achieved all that I want, but it has been what I call a career conundrum. And it is just a very fancy and complex word to just say it's difficult situations when it comes to career. The big questions, the things that people never prepare you for when you are learning. When you go to uni, nobody ever talks about that. You know what, you will have like a non-linear path, you know. So today we want to discuss that. And if you can see, the first image I have there is of a person, and it's of the brain, and there's a lot happening in the brain. And today we're just going to really talk about the mindset of how you look at things, how you look at your career, how you look at yourself as a person. And I believe that life starts at this particular point. If you can see my arrow, and you continue living. And some things happen in your life that are very difficult. These are the thin spaces. But guess what? You're here today and you got out of them. There are lessons to learn. There are lessons to continue learning and improving and upgrading yourself to be the person, the best version of yourself. And so I always believe that at the end of the day, for where you want to be, ask yourself, are you investing in yourself to get to that particular space? I am a pharmacist, and I also wear the people development hat as well, and I'm going to share with you my journey. But before we get there, I want you to post in the chat function, what was your dream job growing up? Let me see. What was your dream job growing up? Let me see people typing away. Okay, what did you want to become when you were growing up? I can still see anybody typing in. No idea. Thank you so much, Alice. Medical doctor Fiona, a surgeon. Wow. Radio presenter, a lawyer, entrepreneur. Secretary, doctor, pilot, architect, okay? Doctor, pilot, engineer, cardiologist, my goodness, lawyer, air hostess, pilot, thank you so much. And tour guide, I love that, Tabi, I love that. Okay, fantastic. It's very nice. You know, every time we were in primary school, people used to ask us, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm like, how do I know? And I'm this young, isn't it? I'm going to tell you what I wanted to be when I was growing up. So let me now see, what are you doing now? Let me see. What are you doing now? Okay, so you said the things that you wanted to become. Let me see what you're doing now. Let me see people typing. Engineer, thank you. Law, project management, accountant, nutrition, now law, thank you. Advocate, pharmacist, thank you, Rosalind, we are together. Sociology, architect, underwriter. Oh my goodness, amazing. So the last question would be, if you are doing the thing that you wanted to do when you were growing up, just type 1. And if you are not doing the things that you wanted to become, type 0. Let me see. Zeros are coming in like an avalanche. Ooh, what? There's one, thank God. There's a 1, I see the ones coming. Okay, fantastic, awesome. And I'm going to explain why I asked that question. When I was growing up, I wanted to become a doctor. And one of the reasons I wanted to become a doctor is 2 things. 1, I used to be very sick when I was growing up. And so I just realized out of the 5 professions that they said we're going to be successful when we grow up, I wanted to become a doctor. So I treat myself. Because the 5 professions that everybody kept on talking about, our teachers encourage us to do, is either be a doctor, an engineer, a pilot, an accountant. What is the other one? I can't remember. Is it a teacher? I can't remember. But anyway, I wanted to become a doctor. The second reason is I read this book. My mother got me this book called Gifted Hands by Ben Carson. And I read the story and I said, oh my goodness, I want to be this when I grow up. But interestingly, I remember when I finished school, many things changed in my life. And maybe the reason why some people are saying 0 is because some things changed in your life. So along life happened, and today I run a coaching company called Performance Point International. We help corporate organizations build high performance teams, and we are accredited with Clarity 4D UK, and we really use their framework to be able to harness the capability and potential of human beings. But the question then becomes, in this situation that we are in, which I will call, then I will say, you know, people call it the new normal. I'll really just call it, it's the next normal. And still, we are still in a pandemic, people. I mean, just yesterday, you remember there's news that came in that Trump and the wife have been diagnosed with COVID, and nobody would have predicted a pandemic. And this is how I look at the situation right now, is that we slept in one world and woke up in another. Suddenly, Disney has no more magic, Paris is no longer romantic, and New York, everybody sleeps. And the Chinese world is not a fortress anymore. Suddenly, hugs and kisses become weapons, and not visiting parents and grandparents have become an act of love. Suddenly, we realize that power is not that valuable and money is not that powerful. Okay, so that is a COVID situation, which I will call a VUCA kind of an environment. And if you have attended any change management workshop, or you have gone through any change process, this word used to be thrown around a lot. And it's the acronym VUCA that stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous situations. Now, when we used to train and coach about VUCA, we had never perhaps experienced a VUCA environment, all right? So then COVID happens and it exposes, oh my goodness, we are really in a volatile environment. It's very complex. Nobody has the answers. It's ambiguous. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. We had never perhaps. And so you ask yourself, okay, so is COVID the only VUCA environment that you have been? I will tell us that we have gone through VUCA in our own personal lives. And even in our careers, we have gone through VUCA. And the reason why some of us are doing what we wanted to do and some of us are not doing what we wanted to do when we were growing up is because something happened in our lives. And so I will go through my VUCA environment that got me looking at my life from this perspective. If you can see my screen, you will see people looking at that wall and wondering, where do I start? Where do I finish? Where does all this, how does this all make sense? My first VUCA environment, as I said, is that when I was growing up, I wanted to become a doctor. But then what happened is that I was sick, and I remember I was in high school. I was in Chalks, Limuru Girls. I'm a Chalksarian, and I became very sick. I started getting convulsions. I was really in and out of school, and yes, I scored averagely well to get into Nairobi University, but I was called to do a course that I did not want to do. And remember, I wanted to be a doctor. So of course, my first choice was medicine, isn't it? Then guess what they give me? They give me range management. I think Bachelor of Science in Range Management. I've never thought about it, never dreamt about it. I started wondering, okay, so do I go to, will I be like in the Masai Mara? I don't know what you do as a range manager. What exactly do you do? You know, you can just settle, okay, which I was really willing to settle because at that time, the truth of the matter is I was called to do medicine on para, what Kenyans call parallel, which is sponsoring yourself to do medicine. Now, if you know the cost of doing medicine when you're sponsoring yourself, somebody has to sell a kidney, at least for my family, for me to have gone to medical school. So I was ready to give up my dream. So I said, okay, fine, I'll go to Nairobi University and actually do this course. I never thought about it, but I'll make the good out of it. Then my dad comes home one day and said, oh, I know you've worked so hard. I've just, been talking with my colleagues. I think you can go to Uganda, go to Makerere University and give it a second shot. I'm thinking, wow, Uganda, awesome. Never been to another country. I don't know what I was thinking, but I said, yes, I'm going to go to Uganda. So off I was reached and I came to Uganda to do Form 5 and 6. Culture shock, I don't know the language, it's a new environment, different people, so many things, isn't it? New culture, I have to go through Form 5 and 6. Remember, my classmates have already gone into university, I have to go through Form 5 and 6. And so I have to learn a new system of education and so on and so forth. And perhaps I'm talking to somebody who has gone through maybe a similar situation and there are things you've planned in your life that are really, things didn't work out the way you had planned. So anyway, finish, and finish well, scored good grades, but then this is what happened. They called me to do pharmacy instead of medicine. Remember, I came here to a foreign country to do medicine, but now I'm being given another course. My father and I to the registrar's office, we negotiate, we wonder what happened. I qualified for pharmacy, why did you give me medicine? And I qualified for medicine, why did you give me pharmacy? And the researcher said, but anyway, you already have the marks, we take higher marks for pharmacy, you just start with pharmacy. So anyway, I went into uni to start pharmacy, something that still I didn't want, but I had to start because the registrar said, you just start and then we'll figure it out along the way. Never trust them, nothing actually changes, But when I went into pharmacy school, I realized, okay, fine, let me make the best out of it. At least it's a medical course. Then the next VUCA happened, which is now my VUCA 3. In campus, my parents stopped working, said like business, one was retired, and they're really struggling financially. And now we are 4 children and all of us are do re mi fa so. The do re mi fa so children, the ones who follow one another. So all of us were in primary at the same time, high school at the same time, uni at the same time. They can imagine paying school fees for people, 4 children who are in university. It was really a tall order. And so knowing the situation at home, my first class in university, I remember the lecturer comes and says, oh yeah, so pick the notes from the photocopier. For me, I'm thinking it's picking the notes. The photocopier guy tells me it's 3,000 shillings. Now, before I shock the Kenyans, it's 3,000 Ugandan shillings. That's like what, 100 shillings in Kenya. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I have this pocket money. I have this, I'm spending money from day one. Every single lecturer who's coming, I have to buy notes. So I said, I have to work. So that propelled me to work when I was in school. So I got part-time jobs and I was selling nutritional products to the network marketing company. I was working part-time in a pharmacy and I was doing ushering, And why am I telling you this? It's because if you look at your life and you think about the things that you had to do, they have a very big part of what you are doing right now or the place that you need to go. Okay? So during this time, it harnessed my people skills. So today I have a permanent smile because of ushering, because the work I used to do is to say, hello, you're most welcome. Hello, you're most welcome. Looks very easy, but you have to have a permanent smile on your face. That transitioned me to be able to have amazing customer care with clients because I knew how to take care of clients. That got me the job, part-time pharmacy, behind the counter, treating patients, but my competitive edge was, hello, you're most welcome, and I can be able to take the client through a full experience before they buy the product, okay? VUCA number 4. I remember I qualified as a pharmacist. I'm like, fantastic. Oh, this has been such a great journey. Oh my goodness. Now it's time to sit, enjoy the work of my labor. Then one day I go to the pharmacy and I realize that, you know what, they have closed and they've run away with my money. So they were avoiding to pay me, okay? As in, can you imagine working so hard? You even came to a different country to pursue a medical profession, and then somebody actually thinks you are not valuable enough and they run away with your money. Hey, I had to sit down and I thought, as T. Harv Eker says, you know what? The society will reward you for the value you bring to the market. So clearly, it's like I wasn't bringing enough value for them to actually run away with my money. How can they walk away in the middle of the night, and never to be found? So I decided, you know what? I have to have another skill. I have to harness another skill because I have, on top of the pharmacy, I have to build on my skill set so that I can be valuable and nobody will be able to run away with my money. And therefore, at night, I used to read a lot. I made Google my friend. I attended Google University, and all I was learning is in terms of, I used to learn management. I took management courses on Coursera. I took so many courses on edX. And why did I study at night? It's because that was the only time that there was cheap bundles for data. So there was a bundle for, I think, was it 50 shillings equivalent, and it could give you like 1 GB for the whole night between midnight and 6. And so I struggled to actually do that. And why am I saying that? Is because every single time an opportunity is going to locate you, you have got to be prepared. So you have to do the preparation before the opportunity actually locates you. And for me, I believe that what you're looking for is looking for you, but not this version of you. Okay? For example, if you have a phone, you have the Kabambe phones. Okay, the Kabambe phones are not able to do so much like a smartphone. It's because of the capacity that it has. However, if you can upgrade to a smartphone, now you can be able to WhatsApp. Now you can be able to do so many things. You can be able to use your phone for so many functions because of that. So for me, I've learned in life, you need to upgrade. If you're stuck in a space, you need to upgrade to the next level so that an opportunity can be able to locate you. At the same time, that's when the pharmacy I was working in part-time, decided to say, okay, we are looking for somebody who can be able to lead the sales and operations team. Maybe you can actually get in this space and lead the team because you're very good with people behind the counter. How can you translate that and maybe duplicate yourself? So, because at that particular point, I didn't think about, do I have the skill set for it? Have I done HR before? Have I done business development as a course? I said yes. And many times what limits us is we always think you have to have a paper for everything. You don't have to have a paper with everything. You learn along the way. So I took on the opportunity and I said, I'm going to learn on the job. It was baptism by fireworks, I can tell you. And I had to go and learn people development. I was charged with that team of 112. And quite honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. That means at night, I was studying all the books that come with leading teams, high performance teams, and everything that I needed to do about motivating teams to actually deliver on the bottom line. And so that's where the people development passion started. I started a training course. I started a training program in the organization. And as I said, the rest is history. And I discovered that is a passion that I have, seeing somebody really grow from one stage to another. And I can tell you that in the same time when I was just navigating my space in the people development space, my father passed on. And in fact, we are having his memorial on 5th of October, which is on Monday. And that really rocked my world completely and entirely. And then, so you have this thing that you're learning, you have personal issues, and then you're thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to handle? You feel like giving up at that particular point. I went through a serious depression, but I needed to survive at the end of the day. And then the last VUCA, because I can, sit here the whole day talking about many VUCAs in my life, is in 2017, I went through surgery. And in 2017, when I went through surgery, it was an epiphany. I just asked myself, I thought that I have a whole life ahead of me, but guess what? Many times we think we have a lot of time, but we don't have a lot of time. And so I realized that, Stella, in as much as perhaps people think that you've come this far, okay, fine, you're a head of department, fantastic, you're awesome, but what legacy are you leaving? Then that bore the women mentorship. And so when I came back in 2018, I decided I'm going to live a life that is also beyond me. I wanted to have an impact for women. Why? Because I am a result of challenging myself every single time at every particular stage. I wanted to actually translate that to other women benefiting from the same. Now, as you can see, I have helped you connect the dots why I wear so many hats. And maybe you're wondering, even me, I'm like that. I don't know. I don't have even clarity of my life, clarity of my career. Worry not. When you start connecting the dots, you will understand. In every VUCA environment that happens to you, COVID or no COVID, you must decide what you're going to do. And there are three options that you're going to decide. Either you are going to run away, from the situation. That is flight, You just pretend, my friend, this is too hard for me. You're going to run away. Thank you very much. Many people do. I don't think it has worked for them, okay? Other people freeze. You remember this particular scenario? There are people who, we left you there, you're still frozen. You don't know what to do, But what I'd advise you is to fight. Why do you fight? Because sometimes that's all you need to do. Why do you fight? Because sometimes your magic is in the fighting, okay? So for me, I've chosen fighting over flight or freeze. And you'll realize that in your life, every 7 years, something happens to you. Every 7 years, and this is proven from psychology. So the question is, every 7 years is something that you need to unleash in your life. What have you unleashed so far? Okay? You cannot be the same person who's here crawling and the same person who is dying. Okay, you can't be the same person. Something in you has to be birthed. Okay, so at the end of the day, if you realize at different stages of your life, you will need something different to take you to the next level. And for me, what I have learned is that hard situations have made me propel to the next level. Because at the end of the day, if it was left up to me in my comfort zone, I would not perhaps have done what? We like the comfort zone. Who wants to be living out of the comfort zone? Okay. So, but hard situations propel me and force me to launch into the next season, propel me to discover something about me that I never knew before. So ask yourself, Les Brown keeps on saying that, the richest place is in the graveyard. Why? Because that's where the songs that were supposed to be written were never written. Businesses that were supposed to be born were never born. Articles, books, everything that you can think about refuse to reach this space, okay? And die with everything that you were supposed to die with, okay? So for me at this particular stage, I went through surgery and I've decided by the time I reach this space, my friend, I have to die empty. So I'm still discovering, okay? So I want to leave you with reality checks as you're discovering yourself. The first reality check, you have to just admit that what got you here will not get you there, okay? That's the first reality check. Just admit that what got you here will not get you there, okay? Just like a child, what takes them to run is not the same energy or skill set that takes them to crawl, okay? So you must discover for that place that you want to go to. Ask yourself, what do you need, okay? The second reality check is that your life is full of S-curves, okay? Always be inventing your S-curves. Why do I say it's an S-curve? It starts here, you grow, you're thriving, high performance, amazing. You master what you need to master, you stabilize, and you get comfortable. This is what usually happens. If you're comfortable for too long, you die. And some of our careers have died because at this particular point, we got too comfortable. So you are a secretary, typewriter. Thank you very much. If you did not invent how to use a computer, you start dying, you become irrelevant. And every organization and every individual goes through these S-curves. So what should you do at this particular point? Always know when you're getting comfortable in a specific space. Then channel your own S-curve, okay? Channel your own S-curve, start another S-curve. For me, that was pharmacy for me. And I had to ask myself, what else can I combine with the pharmacy? Fantastic. So I've had to do so many S-curves. So there's people development and recently technology, because believe it or not, you have to know technology. Okay, so that's reality check number 2. Reinvent your S-curves. Then last reality check is this. You must define your hedgehog. And why the hedgehog? The hedgehog is known for being a very small animal, but it really defeats so big, the most cunning animals and the biggest animals. And I'll give you a scenario that was put in a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. And he said, the fox being the cunning, you know how we used to say as cunning as a fox, okay? Fantastic. Very, very bright animal. It used to come and hunt for this hedgehog, but the hedgehog just did one thing. It coiled up and it just channeled out its spikes, okay? It mastered what it's good at. And how do you master what you're good at, okay? First of all, define what you're passionate about, okay? And let me tell you, I always call this own your own madness, okay? Nobody is like you, accept it, okay? It took me a very long time to own my own madness, because at the end of the day, I'm passionate about people, but then I'm a pharmacist. And again, pharmacy, people say, but you're a pharmacist. How can you be a people development person? I'm like, but I'm actually passionate about people. But society has taught us, you're an engineer. You're just that engineer. Put you in a box and that's it. You're just that. It's not about what you're passionate about, okay? And own it, because you're different and it's okay to be different, okay? So own your own madness. Discover what you're passionate about. I'm passionate about women. I'm passionate about coaching. I'm passionate about healthcare, okay? Next, ask yourself, what can you be the best in the world at? For me, I can't sing. I can sing in the bathroom and I can sing. Amazing. I can sing. I think I can harmonize a bit. But can I be Beyonce? I cannot be Beyonce. Can I dance like her? I cannot dance. I'm not an entertainer like that. I have accepted, made peace with it. However, I am super awesome when it comes to developing people to harness their full potential. And so you can find the same for yourself. What can you be the best in the world at? Fantastic. And lastly, money is important as well, because money demonstrates the value that society gives you for the value that you bring to it. So many times people say money is not important, but I always say if money is not important, you don't know where to go for shopping, isn't it? So ask yourself, what am I passionate about? What can I be the best in the world at, and what can provide me money? That is how you find how to unleash your unique potential when it comes to doing what? When it comes to your career. Now, I like to tell you that it's not what happens to you that matters. It's how you view what happens to you. And I've given you a series of examples of the things that have happened in my life for me to be able to launch. There are 3 kinds of people in the world: people who make things happen, people who watch things happen, and people who wonder what happened. I pray that you'll be that person who makes things happen in this world where we can't control the things that happen to us. The other thing is, you have to define how you see yourself. At some point in my life, I saw myself as this dog. Imagine the world thinks of me as being so amazing, but when I look in the mirror, I see myself as a puppy. Okay, this is the inferiority complex. I want you to unleash the magic in you, and that's seeing who you really are when you look at yourself in the mirror. Because when you see yourself as who you really are, the world will respond. And therefore, after all said and done, what you'll be able to do is to build a T career. What is a T career? You have to build a career with depth in terms of the skill sets that you have. For mine is healthcare and people development, and it goes so deep. But you also have to have breadth. The scientists always complain that people who did arts are taking over the C-suite positions. You know why? It's because they are amazing when it comes to this breadth of skills. People development, when it comes to working with other people, that's why CEOs are given the jobs. It's not because they are the best in terms of the technicalities, it's because they know how to harness the potential of teams. So even as you are going deep in your career, in your skill set, technicalities, IT, engineering, whatever it is, those hard things, also take this, the breadth of your skills, very, very important. And how do we do that? Please read. There's no shortcut. You will read, my friend. You will read. And I've given you some different things for you to read. I don't read. Me, I wasn't born a reader. Nobody is born a reader. You have to read. And I've given you a few books that have really challenged me. The other thing is you have to overcome something called the Peter Principle. I've given you every stage you need a different skill set. Peter Principle says that you are promoted to your level of incompetence. So please, when you're promoted, you have to learn new things so that you don't become incompetent. Imposter syndrome, I've just talked about it. You are more than you think that you are. And that is about personality profiling. You have to discover who you are for you to be able to build on that. We do personality profiling, but find a personality test that you can do so that you discover who you are. And then hang around good people. Please stay clear of people who are called dream killers, okay? Stay clear of them. The things that you have in your head, you should not tell everybody. Tell the people who are going to support you and be your cheerleaders. But if you have haters, make them your best motivators, isn't it? Huh? And lastly, this is a quote that I came up, that I didn't come up with, but I saw that really insulted me. And sometimes things that insult me are the things that propel me to the next level. And it said, and I think I saw it in 2016, if you don't like where you are, move. You're not a tree. Imagine that. Imagine that. Isn't that an insult? Isn't it? So how do you do that? In every space that you're at, show up. Show up, because today is what you have. Tomorrow you're not promised, but show up. Why is that important? Showing up will make your name appear in spaces that you'll never be. Even if you have a job where people are not appreciating you, don't worry. You show up in this moment right now. Do the best that you can, because it affects what you're going to land tomorrow. And with those few remarks, I want to say thank you so much. So show up, consistently show up. When you're committed, show up with competence and show up with a lot of character. Back to you, Kingori.
Thank you so much, Stella, for those insights and sharing your story. Ladies and gentlemen, as you have heard, we are hearing fantastic things about how to move on. And just to share, to recap some of the things that Stella has put out, the VUCA and the inevitability that at some point in life, something is going to happen and you're going to either be disappointed, or the path that you wanted to take is not necessarily the one that life will deal you. So how do you adjust? How do you remain open? How do you deal with the disappointment? And I love what you were saying. Be open to continuously learning, continuously. Expand your capacity. So you need to upgrade. Is it your skills? And I like the career T, where you either develop, you need to develop the breadth, but also the depth. So you need to know what you need to know, but also you need to be a human being and expand yourself into a whole other space. And also something else I like is the power of saying yes to opportunities. They may not come dressed like you were saying where you are working at the pharmacy. They may not come dressed in the prettiest dress. They may not come exactly as you would want them, but they are exactly what you need to be able to just push you to get out of your comfort zone and to continuously just keep applying yourself. My last take home is, in the time before today, what have you unleashed? In the time that is coming, what will you be able to unleash? Thank you so much, Stella. I really appreciate you happen to be in one of my favorite cities in Africa. I absolutely love Kampala. So the guys I know in Centonomy are laughing because we have a continuing joke of how I'm taking Centonomy to Kampala just because of how much I love it. Stella, I really want to ask if you could just also remain with us. I see a lot of conversations from YouTube. We're having guys on Facebook asking a lot of questions. So if you could please stay on the chat. There's also Ruth Karaoke, who happens to be alumni of Chocks. So I'm sure she'll also be very happy to hear from you. But thank you so very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue. I must apologize. We had a bit of a technical hitch. So for those of you who missed one or two parts of the session, this will be up on our Facebook and our social media pages, so you'll be able to catch up with anything you may have missed along the way. So I apologize for that. If you also have any technical hitches as we go along, please engage. If you look at the chat, you'll see Sylvia Ngahu and Charity Mbithe. Please just put out a chat to them and they'll be able to sort out any issues you may have. We are continuing well, and really Stella has set the ball rolling. Our next speaker is Chinwe Egwim. I hope I got that right, Chinwe. She's an experienced economist and corporate executive. And I just want to share with you her profile by way of introducing her. So Chinwe is a professional economist with over 500 published economic notes, primarily geared towards development and macroeconomics. She is a senior economist at FNB Quest Merchant Bank, an arm of FBN Holdings, one of the largest banking and financial services organizations in Africa. Chinwe was appointed as national consultant by the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa to lead the Services Trade Project, which is partly driven by United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. Output from this project serves as auxiliary resource for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. And there's a lot of conversation around creating Africa as a free trade area. So it'll be fantastic to hear her insights on that. Her contributions have also supported high-level committees within development agencies like the World Bank. She's an active member of the Africa Development Bank annual meetings and currently sits as a member of the Board Committee on Research at the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, which is Nigeria's foremost think tank. Chinwe holds a master's degree in financial economics from Kingston University, London, a BSc in economics from Kwame Nkrumah University, Kumasi, Ghana, and is an alumni of the European School of Economics. She has received several reputable recognitions and awards for her work as an economist and advocate for women empowerment. In addition, she has been featured on the cover pages of many business-driven magazines. Chinwe is a mentor to several young professionals and serves as a resource person for initiatives focused on molding Africa's emerging leaders. Without much ado, please join me in welcoming Chinwe to share with us on how we can unlock our career potential. Over to you, Chinwe.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you. Can you see me properly?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I hope the light is good.
It is, and you're looking very nice.
Oh, thank you for that. Okay, so let's start. So how to unlock your career potential, crafting a successful career path. I'm going to share about 5 pillars with you, obviously from my personal experience, and then if I have enough time, I will release perhaps 10 nuggets before leaving you. So let's begin. So my first pillar is understanding your why. I like to describe myself as an unapologetic goal-getter. It gives me extreme joy smashing set goals. However, goals, targets, and achievements are very relative, and we must all understand this to avoid placing unnecessary pressure on ourselves. Everyone is different. What may seem as a zenith for one person may be the starting point of another person. There are also seasons in life, and all of this we must understand. The 4 seasons that we were taught in school, that's summer, winter, autumn, and spring. So let's say in school, Kwesi may be experiencing a summer wave in his life. It may seem as which would require certain deliberate steps that should assist him with breaking boundaries and leveling up, while let's say Amina may be experiencing her winter chills and probably needs to retreat by taking things relatively easy, strategizing, as well as equipping herself in order to position properly for opportunities. Now, in both scenarios highlighted, being deliberate is essential, so please pen that down. You know that question that interviewers tend to ask at job interview sessions? The one that goes like this: where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? That question. It is indeed a powerful question, and most people are unable to answer it, you know? In the earlier stages of my career, I struggled to answer that question as well. I'd often say something very technical or rigid, as opposed to providing an answer which should have been created on the back of deep thoughts around my career goals. Thankfully, I have been able to crack that code. Same way that question is thrown at you at interviews, you need to throw it at yourself, but this time in different layers, as we are multifaceted and not just one way. So you need to find time in your quiet time to throw that question at yourself and answer the question truthfully. So with understanding your why, you need to get to know yourself. Understand what it is you want out of the different aspects of your life. That's your professional, your personal, etc. So that you can clearly articulate what success means to you, and then set relevant targets that would lead you towards your defined success. Or else you are at risk of chasing other people's well-defined targets, essentially doing things because others are doing them. To be very honest, it isn't easy understanding that's why, with regards to one's career trajectory. Now, I will speak for myself and speak with regards to my own journey. Mind you, in as much as I have hit specific milestones, which I am very grateful for, I still acknowledge the fact that I am still journeying and will be doing so until I decide to retire. So I'm still climbing my career ladder. So what is it that I did or I do to get a sense of that why? Over a decade ago, before embarking on my postgraduate degree, I wanted to do so many things, but I knew that whatever it was, there had to be some room for me to play around with figures. I remember my dad saying to me that the decision I take on the course to study for my second degree was critical. He had warned me not to become a butterfly, so perching from place to place, rather to focus on my growing path, understand it, excel at it, and be seen as a pundit, that's an expert with regards to it. I ended up selecting a segment of economics that gave me room to use figures. So that's financial economics. Now, while studying in London for my postgraduate degree, I engaged in a lot of volunteering activities. Please pen that down because volunteering is a powerful tool that's often neglected. Volunteering allows you to learn more about yourself. Most times they help with unleashing hidden passions. Through these activities, I gradually discovered my flair for development and social impact. I was able to infuse this into my thesis. Of course, theses are required for all master degree students. I had to have series of conversations with my supervisor as my focus was financial economics and not development economics. However, we were able to settle for a topic that merged financial and development economics. It was geared towards foreign direct investment inflows into Africa. So it was a win-win for me. Now, all that I have just said served as fragments used to build the base of my career ladder. I had a better understanding of the kind of roles I would be excited to take, the roles that would help mold me into the kind of professional I want to be, and the opportunities that will push me towards my preferred end goal. So my next pillar will be equip yourself and thrive. I'll repeat that, equip yourself and thrive. We are living in interesting times. The amount of resources available to us now is mind-blowing. I wish some of these educational platforms or organized summits and conferences were available years ago. Maybe they were and I wasn't paying attention, who knows? But that is the thing, you need to pay attention to resources around you that can push you further towards smashing your career goals. Nobody is perfect and you must recognize your gaps. I make conscious efforts to close those gaps by equipping myself with an array of tools. And I'll share with you what I typically do. This device called a smartphone is very valuable, but some people do not even use it to optimal level. Stretching beyond features on your phone that offer only social interactions can lead to increased opportunities. About 3 years ago, a colleague of mine that became an incredibly close friend, before she left to further her studies, in London, we had an interesting conversation about the general use of mobile applications, primarily geared towards social networking, and how she felt that she was spending at least 70% of her time on a daily basis on these apps, and she just thought it was just damaging. Now, I agree with her to an extent. However, it is how you use apps like Instagram or Twitter that matter, not if you use them. Instagram for me is both social and a learning platform, well, depending on who you follow, actually. Therefore, it is your responsibility to select the kind of content that floods your feed by having a healthy mix of both social inclined content and intellectually stimulating content. Twitter keeps me in the know, similar to what newspapers do for me, but in a more exciting way. So again, it depends on who or what platform you are following. On Twitter, I follow a handful of government officials and agencies, as well as newspaper handles. Of course, you have a feel of what I do. So those are essential pages for me. I need to be in the know as an economist. There are also learning intervention applications that are so useful. Given the economic downturn that's currently going on, every country is affected due to the pandemic. A majority of firms have had to significantly cut back expenses. And on the back of this, trainings have been affected. I do not believe that employees should depend heavily on their employers for training needs. Truth is that trainings are important for your career growth. Yes, companies should send employees on trainings, but as an employee, you need to make way more effort with equipping yourself. It is your own career, not the company's career. So you need to do that via trainings as opposed to waiting solely on your employer to send you on trainings. In an environment where there are limited jobs available, uniquely positioning yourself for a promotion or a new role is important. Your resume could end up shining brighter than others because you completed one or two training courses. There's an app which I have used for a while. It provides access to online courses offered by prestigious schools with high rankings and reputable financial organizations, so things like the IMF and the World Bank. Upon completion of the course, including assignments, you receive a certificate, and the cost can be as low as $10. So that's something to consider. Another tool are books. I am sure that my mom is still in shock over how I have become an avid reader. To be very honest, I didn't enjoy reading when I was much younger. I viewed reading as a tedious chore and also associated it with homework. So reading was usually done for the benefit of high grades from school. However, I have embraced reading as a hobby and identified it as a life skill that happened just before I enrolled into my undergraduate studies in Ghana. Now, finding the time to read can be challenging. I have made it a habit to read while traveling, whether domestic or international trips. If my bag or handbag is ransacked before any flight I'm about to embark on, a book would definitely be inside. Reading has had a positive impact on my professional life. You know, my role as an economist requires heavy research, which can only be done by reading materials alongside data interpretation. However, from a career growth perspective, networking is also essential. Networking without content is futile. Please pen that down, okay? I will repeat. Networking without content is futile. And so equipping yourself with knowledge through reading books has resulted in better connection for me with like-minded people and has allowed me make valuable contributions to relationships, especially my mentor-mentee relationships. So generally, for one to be able to engage and be viewed as interesting while networking, the content of conversation should be able to excite people. And how do you build that content? Surely by reading. At business forums, it's those that are well-informed from reading articles or books on subject matters geared towards the theme of the briefings that are able to work that room effectively or effortlessly. Typically, you would find these sort of books in my collection, educative books that offer step-by-step methods to climb professional ladders, autobiographies that allow me to learn from experiences of accomplished men and women, and inspirational books that always leave me feeling good with renewed hope and strength to smash my goals. Podcasts, that's next to I'll mention. I understood the value of podcasts recently. I never really saw it as valuable until about a year ago. Those of us that get stuck in traffic, I don't know if there are any Nigerians or Lagosians on this platform, but like those of us that get stuck in traffic are sometimes too stressed mentally to read. So listening to podcasts while in traffic and inching closer to that final destination of yours is a good alternative. Podcasts are great value for unproductive time. Now, another way to equip yourself, which is often overlooked, is through webinars. So well done to everyone that is logged into this webinar. It may not appeal to many and may only be ideal for niche purposes. Due to my role and my interests, I tend to register for industry-related webinars. I often use my social media pages to encourage people to get engaged with summits, conferences, masterclasses, and workshops. Now, this is part of self-investment. If you are unable to care enough for yourself, to invest in yourself, why should any other person or organization take your self-development seriously? I cannot begin to list all that I have learned from attending conferences, forums, or even close-knit classes. The kind of nuggets that are not necessarily written in books are often released at these platforms. One thing I do with regards to attending these organized learning experiences is to be open-minded. I attend some organized platforms focused on themes which at first glance may appear not to directly impact my day-to-day activities. It is these types of events or summits or conferences that give me edgy ideas to uniquely position myself. The next pillar is working beyond your desk. Again, work beyond your desk. To continuously grow as a career professional, you need to be willing to work beyond your desk. Sadly, so many employees fail to realize this. For those of you that have engaged in appraisal sessions, you will hear things like, why should we promote him or her if he or she is basically just hitting her KPIs or his KPIs? What extra oomph has the employee demonstrated? Resuming at work and just doing the bare minimum will not get you far. Are there committees at your workplace? If yes, find ways to get included, and when included, provide valuable contributions. Do you belong to a department that supports other business units? Perhaps you may want to consider showing relevance and relevance of your department by starting a quarterly email series that provides deeper insights to what your department is doing to boost operations. At meetings, do you intelligently find ways to contribute? At meetings, if reasonable or feasible, do you provide additional content that can be used by your colleagues? How do you support your line manager or senior colleagues? Do you periodically provide ideas that can help you ease workflow? All these questions, I hope you're penning them down, and in your quiet time, you're going to ponder around it, because you need to work beyond your desk. Now, my next pillar is the goodwill bank. I take this very seriously. I personally do not like feeling used. And as such, I treat people and situations through my own lenses. Now, as you progress in your career, you need to deposit currency into your goodwill bank. Adopt the mindset that you are bringing value to your professional relationships, as opposed to being the one that is constantly draining others. This is particularly important in mentor-mentee relationships or sponsor relationships. Now, being entitled and expecting others to do things for you because they are your mentor or your sponsor is very off-putting and can result in lost opportunities for you. Start to ask, how can you be valuable to those you believe can support your career and help you grow? The more value you pour into those relationships, the stronger your goodwill bank. The next pillar, which I believe should be my final pillar, is being visible. I cannot overemphasize the importance of being visible. And this is across all levels: junior, middle management, senior management, all levels. However, you must know your content. Be technically sound before embarking on the visibility train, because amplifying emptiness will damage your career projection or trajectory. Visible in your workplace, visible in your industry. Are you regarded as an industry leader? If no, what steps can you take to be seen as an industry leader in the next 2 to 3 years? You know, proper visibility helps to bring in more job opportunities, work-related appointments, board appointments, and so on. Essentially, visibility is a core ingredient for a successful career path. Now, I will conclude with 10 nuggets that I developed based on my career journey. Be sure to pen these down because I don't typically share them, but I'm sharing them with you, so you should feel special. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. The first one is willingness to learn, as I recognize that I do not know everything. And climbing a professional ladder requires way more than technical skills. Number two, open to constructive criticism and understanding that mistakes help one grow. Earlier errors made are never repeated because I learned from them. Willingness to serve. I recognize and respect those that have come before me, and when there are opportunities to work with them, I gladly take those opportunities. You can learn a lot by working with experienced professionals. Number four, fully embracing mentorship. My mentors have played key roles in my career progression. Number five is building authentic relationships. Okay. Number six is bringing value to every project, any platform I am part of, and my professional relationships. This requires consistent research, learning, empathy, and emotional intelligence. So if you're part of any platform, do not just be a part of the database or statistics. Don't just go and tick your name. Find ways to be useful. Let them feel your absence if you're not there, okay? Number seven, putting in the work. Hard work cannot be substituted with anything. To climb your ladder, you must learn to work hard and work smart interchangeably. Number eight is being open to going the extra mile on projects, on work projects, and navigating as an intrapreneur. So intrapreneur, with the best interest of the employee at heart. Sorry, the employer at heart. Best interest of the employer at heart. Number nine is taking a keen interest in positioning as a relevant player within my industry, your industry. It's not just the workplace. There's an industry you belong to, okay? Number 10, the final one is research, and constant yourself. There is no room for mediocrity when climbing any professional career ladder. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Fantastic insights. I especially love your comment around amplifying emptiness is disastrous to your career. I think that crowns it fantastically. Stella just mentioned she loves Traffic University in reference to listening to podcasts in traffic. I can tell you for sure in Nairobi, we feel you on the traffic. And we're going to have a lot more productive time. Isabel says, great presentation. Maria says, work beyond your desk. But Chinwe, I really just want to thank you by way of just putting three things stood out for me, 3 V's: being visible, demonstrating value. And what you said, how am I going to be able to demonstrate that value in terms of where I am? Am I actually doing what is in the best interest of my employer? Am I able to engage in conversation, meaningful conversations? So that if I'm in that elevator with the CEO, we can't talk about sports. How will I be able to engage in a conversation that makes meaning, but also volunteering, being open to opportunities wherever and however they present themselves? Chinwe, thank you so very much. I know you are pressed for time. So I want to maybe request that if you could share your contacts on the chat.
Okay.
And then people could
segment? Is there a question and answer segment? If there is, I can
yes.
a bit. If there is.
Yes, if you could wait maybe another about 20 minutes for the next presenter, okay, and then we could, fantastic. That would be great. So ladies and gentlemen, Chinwe and Stella will also be with us. And so please jot down your questions. We're seeing them coming on through Facebook. We're seeing them coming through Twitter, YouTube. So please keep sharing them with us. And at the end, we'll have a quick Q&A just to hear more from our speakers. Thank you so much, Chinwe. Really appreciate what you have shared with us. Ladies and gentlemen, it keeps getting more and more insightful, more and more engaging. And you're seeing the trend that is building to have these conversations with these seasoned professionals who are sharing their stories, sharing their journey, and just really encouraging us to how can we unlock our potential within our corporate spaces where we find ourselves. And it doesn't matter at what level you are, whether you're starting out as an intern or you are sitting in the board right at the top. Last but not least is a lady known as Serah Katusia. She is the managing director of Mediacom East Africa. I want to share with you a quote that I want to believe is attributed to her, and maybe she can share some more light. It says, "Excellence, live it, find it, nurture it." Serah is driven by passion and has a deep love for advertising, talent, nurturing potential, and delivering excellence. She is an experienced leader with both traditional and new age management and operational skills. So Serah, over to you, just to hear from you about how can we be able to unlock our career potential.
Can you see my screen? I don't know.
Yes, we can.
Okay, let me just. So let's start. My name is Serah. I think the introduction has been done very well. So I just, when I was going through this, I kept on asking myself, what are the things that I can talk about that are simple but still, powerful but easy to take out? And I came up with 5 things that matter for me and that have mattered in my career. One of those things is purpose. And purpose is so important because after a while, if you don't know what, you don't have a reason to wake up, a reason to stay up at night, a reason to work so hard. If you don't have it, what happens is you're going to get really tired. So you're going to get tired of the hustle, you're going to get tired of working, you're going to get tired of working hard, of putting in the hours, because there's nothing beyond the work that you're looking for. So beyond making money and beyond being able to take care of yourself, of course, pay your rent, the basics, what is the one thing that gives you purpose in life? Now, purpose is something some people find it very early in life and they always know what they want to do. And some people just find purpose quite late in life, but it really gives them fulfillment. So every day wake up and ask yourself, have I found my purpose? If I've not found my purpose, am I on my journey to finding my purpose? And without purpose, even when your career grows or you make a lot of money, you'll feel like there's something missing. And you'll start trying to fill that void with very many different things. Some people have purpose that's about helping the community they come from. Some is just about helping people in your career. Sometimes it's just about, I just want to be able to do the best job possible. For example, if you're in an NGO role and you already know doing your work every day is purposeful because it's impactful work. Purpose is very important in your career. And I almost feel like the earlier you find your purpose in your career, the better it is. And the faster somehow you know what you're searching for. And it allows you to make decisions. So it helps you decide what are the things that I want to fight for and what are the things I don't want to fight for. What are my must have? Purpose helps you make those decisions and make those decisions easy. Second is discipline, and I normally call it, work hard, work smart, work harder than anyone you know. That is the only way to, to really drive your career and to build it. I call it the rule of 10,000 hours. If you've ever read Outliers talks about the rule of 10,000 hours. And it's about the fact that you actually need about 10,000 hours in life to become an expert, like become really skillful at your job. So, when you see those architects or art, people who, whether you're drawing or writing or singing or writing music, it takes enough time and discipline for you to get to that, to being that good at that job. And you don't want to be the person who, when you're being viewed with your peers, you're just the other guy. You want to be the guy that your boss does not want to ever let go. Why? Because you're disciplined and you put your best foot forward all the time. Now, sometimes your best foot forward is not what you really, you feel like this is not my best foot forward because I don't know enough. But the more you know, so discipline and working hard comes with continuous learning. The more you know, the better you do. So what did I know last year what do I know today that I didn't know last year, and then those things come as part of my discipline. So the person you are today and the person you are at the end of the year should not be the same. Better discipline, better way of putting your best foot forward, but more so continuously, whatever you decide to do, whatever is this thing you decide you want to learn, do that thing and do it extremely well, such that and you trust yourself and you're doing the best job possible. The third thing is, my screen is not moving, sorry. The third thing is ego, and I know ego is a thing, but kill your ego. I always say the first half of your life, maybe up to when you're 30, it's time to grow your ego. Good, have a healthy ego. The last part of your life after you're 30 is to let go of that ego and to kill it. Killing your ego doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you still respect yourself and you respect your values. And there are things about you that you will never, there are things people know they can never do to you and you will never agree to do them. But what ego does, ego is the enemy of growth. Ego is the enemy of learning. Ego is the enemy of collaboration. And as you're growing your career, collaboration and letting other people support you, letting other people grow because of you is about letting go of your ego. And as you grow your career, sometimes I say, if you're not growing the team below you to take the role you're doing, then you're stuck there because you can never grow. So every time someone wants to promote you, then they ask themselves, but who will do their job? So sometimes you have to sit back and say, in the next 1 year, I want someone in my team to be able to do my job. And I'm going to train them without ego to the point that they're good enough to actually do my job. Otherwise, you're actually stuck at that space. You won't be able to grow your career. The other thing about letting go of your ego is not, having the courage to know that I am good enough and I'm going to raise my hand. And, for women, it's sometimes very difficult. They don't always raise their hands. They don't always say, I am here, I can do this job, give me the opportunity. Men are very good at raising their hands. Rarely do you find a guy who doesn't want to say, I can do this. But for women on this talk, every day you see an opportunity, look at that opportunity and say, I can do it. And, they always say that women will apply for a job when they're like overqualified for it, like 150 qualifications. But men will apply for a job when they just have 50% of the qualifications. And the fact that they are so confident, it allows them to get the job. So ego and confidence are things that letting go of your ego does not mean you have no confidence to go for the things that you want. Ambition and confidence can exist without ego. And they will actually even be much more useful for you when you don't have an ego moment, because you are able to then to deal with people in a very positive manner. And people have a good impression when they meet you. And when you're growing your career, having a good impression on people is extremely important, because that one small chance meeting could be the one thing that actually completely changes your career. The fourth thing is failing forward. And failing forward is about, you will fail, right? Like we are all going to fail in life. Just be open to it. There's no one who doesn't fail before they get where they want to get. But be open to it. And sometimes it's about failing and regrouping and saying, I need to change course. The context in the market has changed. Now it's COVID. Maybe this thing I was doing is not going to work post-COVID. So now I'm going to have to change course. Changing course does not mean you're giving up on your goal. It means you're being agile, you're being nimble enough to fit in the context of the market or the environment you're living in or you're working in. And sometimes I feel like we are so scared of changing course because it looks like I have really failed. But I almost feel like most of the times when you pivot your career and do something completely different is when you find the most growth. I started my career in client service and I got to a point where I felt this is done. I am so tired. I couldn't do client service anymore. And I moved to media. And in media, I actually finally found the space that I really was always looking for. And I never ever imagined in my entire life that I could be a media person, but I moved and it really helped me, and it helped me grow my career. I felt like I was really stagnating, really stuck in a place. So sometimes you need to look at failing forward is about looking at where I am, noticing sometimes maybe it's not working, I'm stuck, and I want to change it up. And looking out into the world and saying, where do I want to change it up to? And where, what do I want to go? And failing forward helps when you have a good coach or a good mentor. And good mentors and good coaches allow you to see what you're not seeing. Sometimes you're a bit more emotionally involved in your job, in your career. And a coach or a mentor allows you to see this job or this career from a very open space. And you're able to see it from another person's perspective, and they allow you to see the good things you could do to either pivot your career, or even if you're staying on the same lane, what you should do better. The last thing is about passion. And passion, love what you do, and have a great attitude. I always say the guy with the very average person, with a great attitude, they're going to do better than a genius that you know. So there's going to be this genius guy, and he's going to die poor because the genius guy had a bad attitude and he always thought he was better than everyone else. So he's literally never going to go anywhere. There's going to be this average person who worked so hard, who was so passionate and had a brilliant attitude. And you meet those people all the time, right? Where you're like, I don't understand. How do you make it? And those people just have a brilliant attitude to everything they do. And a good attitude allows you to do a good job every day, even when you're not feeling like it. We don't always feel like we want to do a good job, right? But with a good attitude, it allows you to do that. It allows you to love your job. It allows you to give your best at your job, but it allows you to live a remarkable experience. And there's sometimes, this world is Nairobi, Kenya, but the world is really small. Whatever career you're in, believe me, it's really small. Unless you're in China where you can disappear in the billions of people, it's really small. And the person you think, oh my God, I worked with this person 10 years ago, randomly, you will find them in another world, in another space. And if you're a person of a good attitude, the experience you left, the mark you left on those people is a brilliant one. And therefore, they will always give you an opportunity. Sometimes, when I'm hiring, I always hire, especially if it's entry-level jobs, I hire for attitude. Because at that moment, I'm saying, this person, they don't know media, we're going to have to train them. All I care for at that moment is their attitude, because their attitude will allow them to learn and will allow them to thrive in whatever environment you put them in. And the worst thing about attitude is I almost feel like smart people have the worst attitudes, right? I wasn't the smartest person in my class. I was really busy doing drama and music festivals. I was a bad student. And my dad used to say, just get a B, right? Just get a B, go to university so that this thing can be, And my firstborn sister had gotten an A, A for 90 something. And I'm here struggling with making 60. And it wasn't because I was not smart. I just hated reading. I hated being in a class, doing physics. It wasn't a thing that I actually liked. But I had a very good attitude towards the things I liked. Literature, art, and somehow I ended up in advertising. I don't know, I guess. But when my dad told me, you're going to not make it to campus, I love your attitude, you need to put it into the right thing. And the only reason I worked hard to get into campus is because he told me, if you want to do this thing, you want to pursue media, good. But you have to first get into campus. If you don't, then I'll decide for you whatever you are going to do. And I always feel that the biggest thing in my life that has helped me in career is passion. I love my job. And the moment I stop loving it, I tell my boss, it's over. This one, I need to change. It's not working. And I've always worked hard to have a good attitude. And I never always had a good attitude. There's a time when my boss would always say, oh God, your attitude sucks and it's really bad. And the one thing I'll never forget is a mentor telling me, you're going to be the best junior account manager ever because your attitude is lousy. And with that lousy attitude, you're never going to grow. And I was like, oh my God, but the only reason I'm working so hard in life is so that I can grow. So I really need to fix this attitude thing. And I did. I didn't have a choice. But you might be in a place where you feel this is not the best place for me, whether it's job-wise, attitude-wise. And you know, most of the attitudes we develop when you start working are driven by the fact that you don't like where you work or you don't like your boss. You can't choose your boss, but you can choose your attitude to your boss. So you can never choose who your boss is or where you work sometimes, especially if you're trying to get an entry-level role, or sometimes even the company you thought when you joined is not what you thought it was. But the one thing you can always choose is your attitude to those people, whether it's to your boss, whether it's your client, whether it's to the job you do. That is a choice you can actually make. Thank you. I think we can do question and answer.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I really, really appreciate your insights. I think your folks and my folks are in the same WhatsApp when it comes to school and grades. I was found anywhere but class. No, I really, really appreciate the wisdom, and it's coming through. Amazing wisdom, Sarah. Beatrice says I identify with you, Sarah, on attitude and the importance of having right attitude. I also will invite, if we could have our three speakers just to put on your video and also unmute. There are a couple of questions that have come through, which want to just do a round of a Q&A. And we could start with you, Sarah, then we could have Chinwe, and then go to Stella. And a key thing that has come up is the issue of passion. Those things that you love doing, that you enjoy doing, that are not career. How did you, one, discover them? And then how have they played a role in your career? So your passions, yes. How did you discover them? And how have they played out in your career?
I think some of my passions are things that have always been with me over the years. One of them is I am like an avid reader. I don't know how to explain it, but I am an avid reader. I used to read full novels when by the time I was in class 8, big ones, right? And I found that knowledge and storytelling was something I really loved. And storytelling then became a passion I always wanted to do. And even when I ended up working in advertising, storytelling for brands became something that was very close to me. But that storytelling, earlier on, I just thought, well, I love reading books. I love reading Ludlam. I love reading these books, right? But later in life, that storytelling, that love for stories is what actually got me into really loving building and telling brand stories. And I think sometimes, you have to actually look at the things you love and ask yourself, do I really like this thing, or am I just doing it? And if you take a paper and you write the top 5 things that you think you love, and for each of those 5 things, think through them and ask a question in your head. Why do I love this thing? Do I actually like it? Would I die doing this thing? I always say you need to ask yourself, if you are lost in an island, what are the things that you must have to survive? And for me, before even a phone, I need books. Therefore, stories are more important to me than I need my phone. And I think once you have to go that deep, and then you find this one thing. Sometimes it's very simple things, right? My sister loves clothes, and she always used to like clothes. And everyone was just like, oh, well, this clothes thing, you're a PR person, you need to work. And when COVID came, she started actually a brand of making shirts and selling them. And the craziest thing happened, she was retrenched 2 months into COVID. And can you imagine? She was just doing her passion. But today her passion is paying her rent and giving her enough confidence to not worry about a job. And that's what a passion should be, something that you really like doing, that you can do it until 2 a.m. Because at the end of the road, it has to provide something for you, right? I always say there are some passions that we really like. I like listening to music. It can't make me money. I'm sure if you Google, there's a wheel that most mentors normally share, that your purpose, what you like doing, what you're good at doing, what makes you money. And there's an intersection to it. And that intersection is the sweet spot of the thing that you actually want to build a skill on and the thing you want to focus on as a person.
Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Gladys is saying, seems like reading is inevitable. She's going to start reading. Chinwe, your thoughts? Sorry?
Chinwe mentioned it about continuous learning.
Yes.
And in our world, continuous learning has to come with reading.
Yeah.
When you're in high school, you hate it. When you're in college, you don't like it. But when you find the thing you want to grow, I guess learning more of that thing should be interesting and something you want to do. Yeah.
Fantastic. Chinwe, tell us about how you discovered your passions and how they have played out in your career.
Well, I mentioned it when I was talking that volunteering was something I used to ignite that, right? So getting my hands involved in different projects as a volunteer allowed me to see the kind of things that I liked, and it helped me unlock passions. Now, I also mentioned that if you're part of an organization or a committee, I'm part of a platform called Women in Management, Business and Public Service. The acronym is WIMBIZ. It is the largest African empowerment platform for women, right? And you have to also put yourself out as a servant leader. So I said, when you get involved in different organizations or platforms that are not particularly career inclined, or you don't see them as career inclined, you need to bring value and not just be statistics. At WIMBIZ, I was appointed as the head of fundraising. I sat on that role for 3 years, and I'm currently the head of research there. And the head of fundraising came before I became a manager at my workplace. So as I was heading the fundraising team at WIMBIZ, I was learning a lot of managerial skills that now helped me when I was a manager at my workplace. I've also learned a lot of things around crisis management, so there's so many skills that one can learn when they apply their passion in a structured manner. I'm very big on structure. And I also like what she said about passion to profit, what she just said about passion to profit. And this particular passion I'm about to share with you came, let's say, maybe 3 years ago, because so many people were asking me questions around visibility. You're so visible, Chinwe, like you're so visible across your industry. How can I do this? In what ways can I do this? And so what she said about passion to profit, I have a consultancy boutique that helps push, career professionals. Of course, you have to have content before we work with you. And we push your visibility. So please check that out. It's called Das Hub Africa. So everyone check that out. That's my shameless plug. But yeah, so you need to volunteer. You cannot be lazy, when you want to embark on this career progression thing. If you have not been able to unlock your passion, my advice to you would be volunteer, but volunteer intelligently. Yeah.
Excellent. I like that. To volunteer, put yourself out there. Please share with us your media link for your social media links.
Hi everyone, Mwenesi Musalia here,
sure
lead trainer of the
on the chat, and those who are watching would also be very interested to engage with you and have that conversation. Stella, tell us, how did you discover your passions and how have they helped you in your career?
Okay, thank you so much. I think for me, it has really been accidental. And as I said, for me, it's the curveballs that life throws at me. My core value is showing up. In this moment right now, I make it work. And as I've done that, what happens is I discover something new that I like. I'll tell you about people. I never, ever dreamt that I'll be doing this for a living, like coaching people development. But when did I discover that? When I had to lead a team. So for me, I have been able to discover my passions whilst I've been doing something in this particular moment. I'll tell you, even when you're employed, the truth of the matter, as Serah said, just show up. You may not choose, you don't have the liberty of choosing your boss, but you have the liberty of how you look at that particular situation. So for me, I've been able to bring in myself to work. And many times I've been that person who does the most, and people say, is this your godfather's company that you are going the extra mile? But what they don't understand is that why I'm willing to go the extra mile is because I know that in this moment right now, if I show up, it's going to make me go to the next level. So for me, that has been my experience. First of all, in terms of the discovering, it has been showing up in this particular moment. And then in terms of how I've used it, I've been able to infuse myself in the work that I do. I'm a pharmacist, yes, but I infuse a passion for people in how I respond to clients, how I respond to patients, how I work with my teams. That would be my experience. And I think Chinwe mentioned it. Be an intrapreneur. You know, don't always look at things about you have to be paid for everything. No, you just show up and stop being a statistic. You're not a flower girl. Every time you show up, don't be the flower girl. If you have to volunteer, for me, I volunteer with Girls for Girls. And for me, showing up has been so fundamental in terms of even giving back to myself. What people don't understand is that when you volunteer, when you give, you gain. Okay? Yeah, so thank you so much.
Fantastic. I want to do another round, a last round, and we'll start with you, Stella. I believe all of you have been in a situation where you are employing. So you're recruiting and you're the person who's making the decision. So Alice and I believe Juliet had a question around that. So I have all the skills, I have the right qualifications, but somehow I don't seem to be employed or getting employed, or I don't get beyond that initial interview. So could you share with us, what is it that makes somebody stand out at that initial interview stage? Or if I'm within the organization, what makes me not progress? I think, Stella, you talked about that plateau. If you could just share a bit more insight, what have you seen in your experience at the initial interview stage where I'm a dead duck in the water at that stage, but also when I'm in the organization, I simply just plateau.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So here's the thing. In school, we go to school to get the hard skills, what people call the hard skills. You are an accountant, you are a doctor, you are an economist, you are, mass comm, whatever it is. But what you have to do for yourself is to garner the soft skills. What are the soft skills? And for me, I don't even call them soft skills. I call them very vital skills. Is one, your communication skills. Okay, that is very important. It's because when everything I'll see on an interview is everything I need to make a selection. As in, I'm not a mind reader to understand what you're capable of doing. Okay, so in that interview, you must be able to demonstrate your capability. And so the first skill is communication skills. Now, this is different from public speaking. And I know there's been a question about, oh, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, whatever it is. Everybody needs communication skills. You may not sit on a platform and do a TEDx talk, but for heaven's sake, in front of somebody, you must be able to relay what you're capable of doing. So that is it. How do you garner the communication skills? Practice. You cannot learn how to ride a bicycle by reading a book. That is true. So whatever you learn in a book, by the way, we told you read a book, you must read the books. There's no shortcut. The books have to be read. You have to watch TEDx talks. You have to, whatever you need to do to learn about communication, you must do it, okay? And then practice. And how do you practice? It's in your everyday. For example, when you go into a meeting, Sheryl Sandberg says, especially for women, we don't raise our hands. And I think it's Serah who mentioned about raising your hand, isn't it? For me, I have 3 rules in a meeting. Either I will pray, I will comment, or I will ask a question. I never leave a meeting without saying anything. Why is this important? It's because people don't choose from who they don't know. Okay? So visibility, as Chinwe talked about, starts in those small things. Do you have something to offer? That is also communication. The second skill, and there are so many, but I'll just end on the second skill. It's ability to work with people. And if you realize so many interviews always ask you, tell me about this experience. Tell me about another experience. What did you do when you were in this space? So apart from communication, you must demonstrate the ability to work with other people because you're not in an island, okay? So you'll realize sometimes people are kept in the waiting room of an interview for a very long time for them to assess, do you greet your neighbor when you walk in? Do you say hello? How are your interpersonal skills? Because when you come into this organization, you must work with a team to be able to deliver on the bottom line. So the second fundamental skill is you must learn how to work with people. A book I will recommend by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So I think I have addressed the people who are going for an interview and the people who are looking to progress in the career space. And at the end of the day, you just have to do extra. And Chinwe said, work beyond the desk. Investment is impossible. You know your gaps, invest in them. Whatever you need to do, you must harness your potential. And it's all up to you. Thank you.
I saw Chinwe just nodding her head, so I want to take it over to her. Chinwe, share with us.
Yeah, because I love that book that she recommended. I love it so much. So I think everyone should get it on Amazon. It's a good book. So the question is in two parts. So I would start with seeking a job. For me, I tend to get a lot of requests like, oh, I would like to work with you. And when I ask questions, do you know what I do? Do you know exactly what I do? People are unable to answer. So the mistake that most job seekers make is they don't do their research. They don't do their research. Like I get it. You need a job, but you also need to understand how the skills on your resume can bring value to whatever role you're seeking. I'll share a personal experience with you. I worked in Milan. I worked at Fitch Ratings in Milan before I returned to Nigeria and started working where I'm working. But I'll let you know that I didn't wait for a job ad from my friend. I did research. I knew what I wanted. I knew the skills that I could bring. So I started researching what organizations would allow me apply myself in the way I want to apply myself. And then I narrowed it down. And then I sent strong cover letters communicating why they need me. But I had to do research. I had to know what department would suit me. So if you want a job and you're done with school and you're like, yeah, anywhere, I just need a job, that doesn't cut it anymore. So to be very specific with your ask. And to be specific with your ask, you need to conduct a lot of research. So it's hard work. It's a lot of work. That's what I would say for those who are in the job seeking sphere. Now, for those who are already working and are looking to progress, I find that, as I said, some people just come in at 9 a.m., 8 a.m., whenever you start work. And when it's 4 or 5, they're already putting their things together to leave. And so they're just doing what it is that they were assigned to do. Again, like when you when I sit at promotion conversations, it's why should this person be promoted when we have limited slots for promotion? It's a competitive thing. So you need to be able to have that extra edge. Something I would advise is, especially now, this COVID period, right? Find out the goals, your organizational goals. Find out what it is your firm is trying to achieve. It could be they're trying to reposition themselves as a brand. But how can you find ways, if you're in IT, how can you help with the broader goal? So do what you do, achieve your KPIs, but also stretch a bit. But don't stretch aimlessly. Discuss with management. If you can't discuss with management, if that's too high level for you, obviously discuss your line manager, like show interest. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. Show interest and see how you can now start applying yourself so that when promotion conversations come up, people will be like, yeah, like I remember when he did that, or when you would have more voices speaking on your behalf. There are policies that organizations are trying to put together. I will tell you, I spearheaded the Women Interactive Network in my organization. There was nothing like that. So there are different policies, there are digital transformation, they're trying to get everyone to be compliant, so compliance departments, they sit down and, have those conversations and then see how you can apply yourself. It goes a long way.
Fantastic.
Question properly.
No, you did. And I love that both you and Stella spoke to the whole issue around don't amplify emptiness. Actually know what it is you're speaking about,
have those
or what you need to
conversations
speak
and then see
to,
how you can
then take the step and actually engage.
It goes a long way.
So, Serah, fantastic. Your thoughts around this dilemma that is within the chat. You did, and I love that.
Hello? You disappeared a bit. Please say that again.
Yes, we just wanted to hear your insights on the dilemma that is presenting itself. We have the situation where I have all the qualifications, I have all the certificates, as it were, but I'm not able to transition from the interview into an actual job. And then when I sit at the desk, I seem to have plateaued. So how having sat at a position where you're hiring, what are the things that you see people do that actually put them in that space?
So, and I think maybe I'll speak specifically just first for Kenya. I think, when you walk into an interview, there is, you're literally competing with many people who are as smart as you are, right? And what that does is you have to be exceptional for you to actually be able to break even. You have to leave an impression on everyone in that panel. And I think Stella mentioned it on that panel that, sometimes people don't have time to go Google or look for any other information. So you walk in and this is it. I need to just be able to see you and see, what is the one thing that you're giving me that no one else has given to me? Why is this person so important that I want to hire them for my team more than I want to hire everyone else, right? And sometimes I think young people get into interviews without having done the work. When I started doing interviews, there was no, what was it called? There was no Google, like you had to go to, you didn't have your phone with internet. I literally had to go to a cyber cafe, pay money to find out anything online. But today, you just need your phone and you can actually find out what is this company about, what is this role about, read about the role, read about the questions people ask in interviews. What is the best way to answer that question? I think sometimes, you just ask someone, tell me a little bit about yourself. And by the time they are done, the panel already know this person is not going to make it. And one for me is presence. When you walk in, what is the attitude you bring? And being scared is okay. It's almost normal to be scared when you're going into an interview. But when you start speaking, how good do you know the things you're speaking about? If it's an entry role job, the only thing people are looking for you to bring to the table is attitude and aptitude. So does she have the aptitude for this person to learn? Does she have the right attitude? Because it's an entry level job. They're not trying to say, I need you to know marketing, I need you to know engineering. No. They just want to know whether you would fit, and therefore you're smart enough to learn and you have the right attitude. The other thing I think is about going for the right job. So I know, when you're in a role where you feel you're stuck, you start interviewing for everything, right? You just want to get out. But when you're interviewing for everything, when someone is listening to you, they can see there's no passion in the thing you're talking about. So you're just trying to get another job. And so movement upward is good, but it's good when it's something that you actually want to do, not just that this other job will give me more money. I just want to do the job because of money. It will come out. People will be able to just be like, I don't know. There's something, I can't feel it, but this person has not brought their best into this interview. Because you just are trying to just I've seen people in that space where they're just interviewing for any job that comes to get out. It is the worst thing to do. You almost have to be patient with yourself to get through that process, then start doing interviews. Because when you're in that process, it can be seen by the person interviewing you. And when you're working, so maybe you are looking for organic growth in your organization. I think the one thing I said is about raising your hand. Maybe there's an extra job to be done at your organization, and you ask, hey guys, we're very busy, but I need one person to do this. Raise your hand. For that week, you might sleep at 2 a.m., but just raise your hand, because organic growth half the time comes with people knowing that you're good at what you're doing and you're putting extra effort in everything. So it's about you promoting yourself internally to the right people in the right way. You should promote, most people think you shouldn't promote yourself. You need to promote yourself, and you need to find people who promote you. Yeah. So you need to engage with people who, when they hear of a role internally, they speak about you. But why would they be comfortable speaking about you? Work ethic, attitude, they know they will not speak about this person, and then this person comes in and lets them down. Yeah. So you almost have to have impeccable work ethic, impeccable track record for you to grow properly in the same organization. I see people a lot saying that you have to leave an organization for you to grow. I've worked for Scan Group for 14 years. It's my 14th year this year. I've moved from different companies internally. I've worked for about 7 companies internally, but I never left. I didn't go to another. You don't always have to go to another company to grow. If there's scope where you're working, you can grow. But you also have to be comfortable sometimes to be uncomfortable, meaning you have to be comfortable to do things that you are not so sure about, and then you learn to do them. Yeah. Yes. And as I finish, attitude. Your attitude actually internally is even worse, because now people know the real you, not the interview person. They work with you every day. So if you don't bring your good attitude every day to work, the day they are asked whether they would like you to be the boss, they're like, oh, no. Attitude, attitude, attitude.
Thank you so much, Serah. I really just want to appreciate those insights. Aptitude, attitude, and promoting yourself. And something that all of you have shared is learning and being able to work with people. I think we cannot overstate the importance of being able to work with people, but also demonstrate value. Thank you so very much just for the time that you've taken to share with us. I also want to thank our panelists, our speakers, and our panelists towards the end, just for what you've shared. Fantastic insights. I see there are a lot of questions that are coming through. So I want to invite you to just keep with us as we continue to share, and just to see there are people in real estate and they're trying to ask, how do I get in? What do I do? I'm young. How do I start? I want to progress, and really just to continue to glean from what you have all shared. Japheth puts it so well. This is indeed transformational. I'm learning. I want to take your last thought, Serah, around promoting myself. It's actually something that I have not done, and I used to feel very shy about it. So it's something I really want to pick up a lot more, because if somebody wants to recommend me for something, they need to know that I'm actually able to deliver, and I can give them the confidence to be able to step up. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Serah. Thank you so much, Stella. Thank you so much, Chinwe. Really appreciate the time you have taken and the insights that you have shared with us. They are absolutely insightful. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard from these great women who are leading, who have shared their personal stories. And so you may be wondering, now what? And as I shared with you at the beginning, today is a special session, because we are looking at this being the last event for Career Hub. And so the call is to you. You've heard from these speakers today, and you've had a series of sessions in the last couple of months around just how you can grow in your career. And we've looked at different aspects. And today we're looking at how do you unlock your potential. And I love what Serah said. It's where you are. Are you putting up your hand? And Stella and Chinwe spoke to it. Are you putting up your hand where you are? Are you making yourself available? Are you able to speak into the situations that you find yourselves? And essentially, this is what the Career Hub program is. It's a 7-week program that takes you into the space of understanding how do you make those calls? How do you speak into those conversations? And that's why really essentially this is what the Career Hub program. How do you get to that place? Then a second element is knowing your strengths. If you listen through all our speakers today, one of the things that they've really spoken about, as they've spoken about passion, is your self-awareness. Do you know yourself? How well do you know yourself? What are you good at? What are you not so good at? How are you improving yourself? And that's a key element of the second session that you will have within the Career Hub program. And that will transcend into this third thing, which is building a personal brand. If you're going to market yourself, what are you marketing? What are you as an individual about? Serah spoke about purpose. What is your purpose? How does that purpose transcend? And if you went through the conversations on passion, is for each of our speakers, the things that they love to do, that they find enjoyable, have found their way into their career. So how are you building your personal brand? Fourth, social capital. I mean, they take the words right out of my mouth. The people you work with, are you able to work with them? How well are you working with them? How do you leverage the people that you have in your group? Chinwe spoke about creating a networking group for women in her organization, which was not there, which then forms a very powerful base, a very powerful network for you to be able to engage with people who will then recommend you, who will then be able to speak on your behalf. And then how do you actually plan your career for financial growth? One of the things that we have come to appreciate at Centonomy is that a career path employment is a credible and a viable journey towards financial growth. So how do you actually put in those steps and those measures so that your career actually gets you to the place where you have your financial growth and your financial, your wealth journey being integrated into your career planning and into your career path? Number 6 is authentic leadership. How do you step up? How do you become, how do you reflect yourself in the positions that you take? And then the last is, how do you speak into the situations? How are you able at that interview stage to communicate? This is who I am, this is what I'm passionate about, and this is how I'm able to deliver that into the organization. This is how I'm able to deliver it into my team. This is why I would be able to add value to the group. How do you, that elevator pitch, you have this moment, you have this CEO, you have this industry leader. As Chinwe was saying, she's opened herself up to networks within her profession. So you go to the conference, you're at that webinar, and like Stella, you're either praying, making a comment, or asking a question. How do you prepare and speak authoritatively? And that's really the final element of the class. So to enable you to move from gaining that confidence to be able to speak into who you are, what you're about, and then being able to translate that into who you are in the corporate space that you find yourself. So ladies and gentlemen, classes begin 8th of October, and we want to urge you, take that call. And we have a fantastic offer for you this time around, where if you register today, registration has been moved from 1,600 to 1,000 shillings, or $10 for those who are in the diaspora. So encourage you, make that step, make that decision. You've heard the great insights that have been shared by all our speakers across the various events, and I have had the pleasure of moderating 2 or 3 of them. And so the call now is on you. You have this information. How do you effective? And the Career Hub program is the tool that will enable you to bring all these things together. And if you register today, registration, there's a 20% lockdown discount. You register today, you register at 1,000 shillings or $1,000, and the tuition fee is 19,600 or $196. And it's possible to also pay that in installments of 4,900. So we've made it possible for you to be able to participate, for you to be able to implement the skills, and to each of you to be able to plan your specific trajectory in employment. For those of you who want to pay by M-Pesa, that is also very, very possible. For those of you who are international students who are looking to join from diaspora. As Stella was saying earlier, it's very possible. All the classes are online, and our classes begin 8th of October. So we encourage you to join. The payment details are up, and they're going to be up going forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to really just thank each and every one of you for having taken the time to be with us. Those of you who've been able to join us here on Zoom, we have those who have joined us on various platforms, on YouTube, on Twitter. We really just want to thank you for taking the time just to share with us and to hear. We are so grateful to our speakers of the day, to you, Stella, to you, Chinwe, to you, Serah, for sharing very personally. And I think that all too often speakers will share theories and things that float in the air, but you have shared from your stories, your personal journeys, and that just gives that special touch to what we have heard today and how we can be able to actually unlock our career potential. And it's so insightful to hear from you and to see that you have actually implemented. And so we wish you every success as you continue to grow. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been my pleasure as Kingori Muito to moderate this session. It's been a fantastic session. I take this opportunity to wish you a fantastic weekend, to also invite you, our panelists are still here with us, to continue engaging on the chat, and importantly, sign up for the classes so that you're able to appreciate the value of what has been shared, and to be able to push your career to the next level and unlock your potential, whether you are starting, whether you want to progress in your organization, or you want to transition into a different organization. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I wish you every success and a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Goodbye and God bless. So we will put up the payment details. A very special thank you to the Centonomy team in the background who have been support. Thank you so much, Maria, for paying. Fantastic. Looking forward to see you. Tabitha, we have put up the details for those who want to pay by M-Pesa. Those are up. You can also pay directly into the bank account. Those are also up for you. So those who are in diaspora, we have these details up for you here. If you sign up today, we have a special offer. It's 1,000 shillings or $10. If you sign up today, and we encourage you to sign up today. Fantastic. Looking forward to engaging with you in the class. And we have a fantastic panel of teachers, of trainers who engage professionally. And so they're coming to share, like our speakers today, to the various topics and issues around growing your career.